I was in awe about it. So he was like, I need somebody back there with them. So automatically, forget dinner, I'm on my way. And dropped my purse, ran back into the trauma bays when I noticed Georgina and Amanda Berry walking in. It was a big deal to me because it was almost like hitting home. So I remember seeing Georgina and I just hugged her and told her welcome home and, you know, started doing her, you know, try to do some nursing and try to get her vital signs and, you know, just I was just in awe about it, and I just kept, you know, staring at her, and I couldn't believe that I was actually sitting next to her. And then to see Amanda Berry and her beautiful child, and not knowing who the child was. I mean, it was confusion, but I had to do my job first and stay professional as much as possible. But what I thought was professional was just to love them and just let them know that they were now safe and that it was going to be okay. And you were crying, you were happy, you were sad, it wasn't even about what happened to them. It was just like, welcome home. We've been looking for you for a decade. What could I get for you? What could I do for you? It was just a very emotional and exciting day to have the pleasure to see her father and her mother and her sister walk in as far as Gina's family, and to see them for that first moment. I mean, you got butterflies, you got the goosebumps, you know, you try to wipe your tears and try to stay professional, but it just couldn't help it. I mean, it was an amazing experience.
How did the girls seem?
They were still trying to get the surroundings. They were like, who are you? You know, so I made sure that everybody was introducing themselves so that they knew that these were workers here, that there were people that were they're safe. I did notice that the girls wanted to be together. So every time we would like kind of separate them, they would come search for each other again. That's for sure. That they kept asking for the other one. Where's the other one at? And we had to let them know they just run around the corner. They're here. So you could tell that they had a bond.
So you mentioned that you're from the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
What was the effect at the time when the girls disappeared?
You could not go anywhere in Cleveland and not know Amanda Berry's name or Georgina. You could not go anywhere in Cleveland. There were signs everywhere. Family never gave up. So it was I could not believe they were alive. I did not think that this doesn't happen. This is a miracle that I probably will never see again in my life. This does not happen. People do not come out alive out of this. So I just kept saying, I remember one time pinching Georgina, and she's like, why did you do that? I'm like, because you're here. It's not a dream. This is not a dream. You know, like, it was that amazing.
After 10 years of waiting, relatives and neighbours can finally celebrate. But there's also anger. Some, like Gina's uncle, struggle for control.
I want to bust down and cry right now, but...
Tears of relief?
Yeah. And I don't know if you can print this or you can put this on the air, but if I got my hands on that guy.
Amanda Berry had made the news for 10 years as a missing person. Now it's a different story. From a sister who dreamed of her coming home, a plea for privacy.
I just want to say we are so happy to have Amanda and her daughter home. I want to thank the public and the media for their support and encourage over the years, and at this time our family would request privacy so my sister and niece and I can have time to recover.
Amanda learns that in 2006, 3 years after her kidnap, her mother had died. Luana Miller had never stopped fighting for her daughter to be found. Friends say she never recovered from Amanda's disappearance. Gina had been taken aged 14. She returns to her parents as a 23-year-old.
We want to have a block party and close the streets down. That's the best Mother's Day present any mother could have.
She gave a big thumbs up as she got out of the van. There she goes in the green.
Michelle's condition is more serious. She leaves hospital 5 days later, but doesn't go home to her family. Instead, she goes to Gina's house.
I've come to Gina's house, and it's actually very confusing. I don't really know how to feel. The banner suggests celebration, and yeah, is this a celebration? The police tape is a very stark reminder that something terrible has happened. The 14-year-old girl on that missing poster is gone. Who is she now? We know that Gina and Michelle are in that house. It's interesting that, having been forced together for nearly 9 years, Gina and Michelle are now choosing to be together. I assume because they've grown to rely upon one another. So I don't really feel comfortable staying here any longer because both girls obviously want privacy and don't want cameras outside their house the whole time. I'm kind of looking at that tarpaulin, and this is speculation, but I assume that the last thing that either of them want is to be cooped up inside a house after being cooped up inside a house for so long. So they've had to put the tarpaulin across the backyard so they can still maintain a degree of privacy.
Michelle's grandmother is still waiting to see her.
We was told that she didn't want to see us at all. So that kind of really hurt all of us to figure, you know, to think that all these years that she didn't want to see us. So we was all kind of frustrated and crying and all this, because if somebody would come up to you and say, well, your daughter or your granddaughter don't want to see you, it would kind of hurt you or break your heart, and that's kind of what it was doing to us. We thought kind of that she was blaming us for not giving her the attention like Amanda's and Gina's family did.
Do you think that, from what you've seen of the press coverage, your family has been represented in a good light?
Well, we heard that it was going around in there that as a family we was beating her, tormenting her, we was abusing her. We didn't care about her enough because we didn't look for her. That's not the truth. That's not the truth at all.
So if he's found guilty, what punishment should Ariel Castro now face? Life in prison or the death penalty? The death penalty is on the statute in Ohio, and prosecutors say that they will press for it if it's found that Castro forcibly caused any of the women to miscarry.
In Ohio, a fetus has personhood. So as a person, that can be construed as murder. The county prosecutor, Timothy McGinty, said he intends to pursue that and see if the claims that he forced miscarriages 5 times is true. I suppose medical testing could figure that out in some fashion. I'm certainly not a doctor, but yeah, a fetus is a person, has personhood in Ohio, therefore the murder charge. And if a murder is committed in the commission of another crime, it would be aggravated murder, and that would be the death penalty. Or multiple murders and other aggravating circumstances. In that case, we have the death penalty in Ohio, and he could be executed.
Talking about the death penalty, I think that's too easy for him. I think they should just make him suffer like he made them girls suffer.
He needs to suffer. And the death penalty is way too easy.
As far as it goes, if they give him the death sentence, the death penalty, that's fine. But I really like to see him get more out of it. That I like to really see him suffer as they had to suffer.
Justice needs to be served here for sure. He should never see the day of light again in his life.
He'll never see the daylight again. Whatever he did to those girls, you can rest assured that while he's in the penitentiary, it's going to be very, very difficult for him. Because there's a hierarchy in the jail. The top of the list is the police killer. He's the #1 guy. And it goes all the way down, the bottom social rung in the jail are perverts and sexual deviants. Because even the murderers have mothers, sisters, and kids. No one wants to be in Ariel Castro's shoes right now.
So what do you think should happen to Ariel Castro?
You ask me as a policeman or as a father?